for tuning in and tapping in. This is the first Ask Zena Radio. And let me introduce myself. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am a life coach. I've been a human resources and recruitment consultant for over 20 years. I'm a spiritual coach. I'm a motivator. I am an author. I'm a mother and a grandmother. And my passion in life is to really inspire people and encourage people. I use my life as an example. I use all of the experiences that I have to just sow into people to share. So I'm pretty transparent, I'm pretty raw, and I'm pretty real. And I'm here just to give you some insight on all things that you need to know about getting a job, advancing in your career, getting promoted, also any life issues. So if you're blocked in a particular area, if you feel that you are challenged or have some chaos going on, let's talk about it. Let's get real. You can just use your first name and we can talk about it. So as I stated, my passion really is helping people. I try to be as transparent as possible. So through the course of my episodes, you will get to know me, whether you like me or you don't like me, but you're going to get to know me. And so let's get started. I wanted to talk about today, are you hireable? And what does that mean? So a lot of people think that they're not hireable because I'm too short, I'm too fat, I'm too skinny, I'm white, I'm black, I'm purple, I'm pink, I have a background, I don't have the education. What does that mean? A lot of people say, well, they say they're not hiring people. They say they're not doing this. What does that mean? It means your attitude. It means what you believe. It means how you perceive. So, are you hireable? Absolutely. You are hireable. Being hireable is 90% mindset and attitude. I have a guest in the house. I'm going to introduce him, but just in case you hear this deep baritone voice going on in the background, I just want you to know that that is Mr. Bill. Say hello.
Good morning, Zena.
Mr. Bill. And we have a guest here, and we have Keith, the owner and CEO, in the house helping us this morning take some footage and post things to Instagram. So I have a really exciting morning for you guys. I want to talk about being hireable. I want to talk about your mindset. I want to talk about what makes sense and how you can navigate the job search and how you can find a job. But I'm going to stick on that mindset just a little bit because I'm telling you, it's 90% of the game. It's 90% of the game. So let me go back and tell you a little bit more about me. So I'm a high school dropout. Yeah. You would never know that, right? I have been to all of the Ivy League schools in the country and have recruited people from all over the country, even in Canada. And people have never questioned whether or not I had a degree or a master's degree. And the reason why is because I know how to package myself. So I know how to package myself in environments where I can come across and be professional, be casual, and immerse myself in those environments. And so that's about my attitude, right? So also with being a high school dropout, I have had to learn certain talents and hone in on my gifts, talents, and abilities and really focus in on what Zena brings to the table. So if there is 5%, so 90% is your attitude and your mindset, right? 5%, just 5% is what you bring to the table. So a lot of people are like, no, I have to have certain experience and I have to have certain background and I have to have an education and I have to have gone to this school and have worked for this company. Well, when we get into this just a little bit more and you hear Mr. Bill's story, you're going to know what I'm talking about. It's only 90% attitude. So I have seen, and I have worked with as a life coach, I have seen individuals who serve coffee as baristas actually work for a corporation. They were serving coffee to an executive every day, right?
Wow.
And then they befriended that executive, and within a short amount of time, that executive said, hey, I need someone to come work for me. They started off as a clerk or an assistant or whatever, and within 18 months, true story, this woman became a director in communications.
Wow.
Now, how is that possible from serving coffee?
Wow. I tell you, it's people you know.
People
You know what I'm saying? People you interact with. They resources. You
Exactly.
never know. You never know.
It's all about alliances too, right?
Exactly.
And it's about who you know, right?
Who you know.
And who you're nice to.
Exactly.
That attitude again, right?
Right. That's why I'm here on this radio station this morning. You know
about who you know.
Who you know.
We won't tell people how long we've known each other, okay?
Okay.
Because then they'll know.
Okay.
But I did tell them I was a grandmother, so I guess they already know.
Yeah, that's it.
They know I'm not a millennial, right?
Right.
I'm a seasoned veteran, right?
That you are.
So I've also seen in Phoenix, I was living in Phoenix, and I helped a man who was homeless. And he was really dirty and filthy. And he was riding his bike around, and I stopped one day. I don't know why I stopped. But anyway, he was looking for a job, and he was asking for some money. This would happen. He was asking for some money, and he was looking for a job. And I told him to go to Goodwill. I spent like 2 hours with him. We went over to Goodwill. We got some cheap little Docker pants and a shirt. And I said, you need to do something differently. He said, no one's hiring me because I'm homeless and I'm walking into these warehouses. I said, you're scaring the heck out of these people. Walking in and the receptionist is looking at you all dirty and everything.
Right.
Clean up. Go to a gas station. Clean up.
Right.
Even if you don't have a home, put like a Google number on your phone, on your resume. I typed up a resume for him. And I think within 3 weeks, he walked into a warehouse. Timing is also important. He walked into a warehouse and he found a job as an entry-level warehouse person.
Okay.
And so shortly then thereafter, he got his life together, but I don't know what happened to him. But again, it was about attitude. So when he was walking around the streets in Phoenix, he felt deflated, defeated,
Right.
hopeless.
Right.
No one is going to hire me because he kept hearing no, 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 no.
Right.
So then I just took an opportunity to sow into him and change it up a little bit. So in my life coaching practice, what I do is I look at your capacity. And everyone has a capacity within them. We all have gifts, talents, and abilities, and we all have a capacity, and a lot of us don't even know what that is because it's so big, it's beyond our mental capacity to think about it right here and right now.
Exactly, the thought process.
So
right.
We're thinking about traffic, how long it took to get down La Cienega.
It seemed like 2 days. Yeah.
2 days.
Yeah.
No, it was a long time because I left very early this morning. But we're thinking about that instead of thinking about our capacity. So again, dealing with the attitude, it's the things you think about the most that actually start to manifest in your life. So when we talk about attitude, what is attitude? Is it being a diva? Is it thinking you're all that? Is it being more than what you are? Is it being friendly? Is it like some people will say, letting people take advantage of them? I don't want to follow those rules because I don't want someone to have control over me. I don't want them to tell me what to do.
I think it's all the above.
Mm-hmm.
Given the situation, as you say, diva or arrogant or whatever the case may be, depending on the situation, it shows up.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think attitude is also willingness.
Mm-hmm.
Willingness to be open to new opportunities. Willingness to look at our failures as opportunities versus things that hold us back or things that we're ashamed of. So I want to talk about that too because, so many people are so fixated on what I've accomplished, what material possessions I have,
That's true.
what I drive, what I look like,
Right.
where am I going, who am I hanging out with, rather than looking at their failures. And I'm an individual that really looks at my failures because I learn from them. And I think if we give ourselves credit for our failures, we've realized that we've navigated the darkness quite a bit. And so in navigating the darkness, we can also build ourselves up by understanding that we have strength, we have courage, we can do this, we are strong, we can endure,
Right.
We have resilience. And so all of those feed into attitude, wouldn't you say?
I would totally agree. You learn from your mistakes and being honest with yourself. That's where a growth can come in. Being honest. I did wrong. I messed up. Okay, what did I learn from this? This is what I learned from this. Okay, from this point forward, I'm moving forward with a different mindset and attitude. as you stated, mindset and a good attitude and good energy is 95% of it.
Absolutely.
To turn it around.
So I think you're trying to segue into me introducing and telling your story, but I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet. I wanted.
All right.
I heard you.
Yeah,
I heard you.
yeah. All right,
no, I really want people to get this. Are you hireable? So, did you know that there is a man in Michigan who was born with no arms, no legs, and no hands and no arms. Let me correct that. No hands and no arms. He self-taught himself how to do all of these things because his parents had the right attitude and just sewed into him. And guess what he's doing?
What is he doing?
He is building cars for NASCAR. Now, how do you do that with no hands?
Really?
True story. True story. So, attitude, right?
Yes.
And are you hireable? Now, think about this. I brought this up because this man was born into this world with no hands and no arms. Can you imagine what he thought his life capacity was?
But the parents, they really instilled in him from an early age.
Exactly.
Don't let that be a handicap.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I mean, he was no arms and no legs.
No, let me correct you now. I said it wrong. He had no hands and no arms.
Okay.
He does everything with his feet. He drives with his feet.
Okay.
Everything with his feet.
Wow.
And he actually works on NASCAR, the racing cars with
right.
his feet.
Wow.
So, again, it's attitude, right?
Right.
So even though the title of this episode is Are You Hireable, I'm trying to drill this into you guys. It's all about your attitude. You're hireable if you have a background. You're hireable if you've been fired. You're hireable if you're a short, fat Hispanic lady like myself. Just saying. I'd like to be transparent with people, so I want them to get the image here. You're hireable if you haven't graduated high school. You're hireable if you have a criminal background. You're hireable if you have a sketchy background. You're hireable if you've worked temp jobs for the last 17 years. It's all about your attitude and packaging. So I really want you guys to get this because in the next couple of episodes, I'm going to show you how to package your background. I'm going to show you how to get seen, get interviewed, and hopefully get hired in the job that you desire to be employed in so that you can start making that money, sewing into your life, having the life that you want. I always tell people about living an abundant life. An abundant life doesn't mean that I'm a millionaire.
Right.
I could be 1,000-aire. But,
right.
I live an abundant, peaceful, joyful life. And so we also need to be thinking about what does that mean? What does that mean for us? So here we go.
Here we go.
We're going to talk about you. So Mr. Bill, I have known Mr. Bill for decades.
Yeah, we can let it rest right there. Yeah. Yeah, long time.
I have known him for decades, and his story is a very interesting story. He is strong and courageous and inspiring and real, and he has had his struggles, right?
That I have.
And he has been isolated, and he has been imprisoned, not only physically, but mentally.
True.
And had to overcome that. He has been in an environment where he's made 75 cents a day.
75 cents an hour.
Oh, an hour. An hour. Okay, I gave you a little. Okay,
yeah,
all right.
yeah. 75 cents an hour.
75 cents an hour. He's going to tell his story, but out of all of that, he's now moving, shaping his life, living the life that he desires. Of course, we didn't win the lottery.
I'm still trying.
I know.
I'm playing. I'm giving it my all in all, going broke, trying to get it.
You got to check the tickets.
Yeah.
But he's living the life that he's created for himself through all of that adversity. And so when we talk about are you hireable, I want you to hear his story, and I want you to think about the span that he has had to endure, and now come into a new environment, right? Like a new world, pretty
Yes,
much.
it was. I had to relearn a lot of
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
Yeah.
There weren't cell phones and beepers back then.
It wasn't. No. None of the
There weren't even car phones where they had the big car
no,
phone.
none of that.
So to come into this environment, to come into this century, right, and have to learn all of these things and now be gainfully employed, you know, living a life at peace with yourself, and functioning. So when I say, are you hireable? I need you to hear this man's story. So, Mr. Bill, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good morning, good news listeners. My name is Bill Tatum. I'm a native of Los Angeles, California. 35 years ago, I committed a serious violent felony and was convicted in 1982 to life with the possibility of parole. I served 30 years and 4 months of my life in confinement. Yeah, I was that guy. I was that guy. They named prisons correct. Department of Corrections. That was wrong out here in society. You be put away. So you correct yourself. So that's what I did. I look at it as the University of Hard Knocks.
You correct yourself?
Yes, I did.
There aren't any tools or people?
It's plenty.
Okay.
Guys that have, like as you stated, that attitude and that desire and that need to change.
Mm-hmm.
Because doing a life sentence, you have another shot at being out here in society.
Do people really know that? So if you have a life sentence, so forgive me for my naivete, but if I think someone has a life sentence, I don't think that they have an opportunity out in the real world or in society.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Life without means life without. You spend your last breath in confinement.
Oh, okay.
Death row mean death row. You there just waiting your turn to be executed. But when you're given a life sentence with parole,
okay,
with parole, let me make that clear. You have another opportunity. You know what I'm saying, to get out of prison and live a decent, productive life. You know what I'm saying, as a law-abiding citizen. So you work on that. Myself as well as others, as you stated, Zena. It's the attitude and it's the mindset. Because you're doing a significant amount of time. 3 decades.
Wow.
30 years. I was a young man, and I was in my middle 50s when they like, okay, it's time to go. But you just don't do, doing a life sentence, you just don't do so much time and they let you go. You go in front of a panel.
Okay.
And you have to convince these people that you are ready to be back out in society.
Okay.
And all the things that you have done, to the good or to the bad, in prison, it's in folders before them. They call them, C files. And going to school, getting my GED along with my high school diploma, college, trade, self-help groups, and the fellas that's of the same mindset, you know what I'm saying? Each one teach one.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So you be around people that's that think like you think, that's reinventing themselves, you know what I'm saying, to be ready to be back out here in society.
I want to go back, and when you say life sentence, if someone were to tell me that I had a life sentence, I don't know if I would have the mindset or the courage to think beyond this situation. So what kept you motivated? What kept you, so you say life sentence with the possibility of parole.
Correct.
So now just thinking about it as being a motivator, I would say, okay, I would focus on the possibility of parole, and that would be the only thing that I would see. I would tunnel my energy on that. But to hear someone say, a judge with a gavel say, life sentence, I mean, what are you thinking about? Are you thinking in that moment like there are opportunities, there are possibilities What goes through your head?
Well, I can recall it just like if it was yesterday in Pomona Superior. Lauren Miller, Judge Lauren Miller. He was a Creole, big formidable brother. He stood up on the bench. He didn't sit on the bench, and I'm sentencing you to life with the possibility of parole. California Department of Correction. I looked to my left, and my mom and my stepmom, they sat next to each other, and that was the tears. You know what I'm saying? Not only did I do time, they did time. Everybody that loved me, cared for me, family and friends, it's like, they know I was going to be away for a long time. And, during that time, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. It's a lot of things you deal with mentally. You want to blame, the teachers. You want to blame your parents. No, you know me personally, Z. I didn't have to want for nothing. That was the choice that I made. However, my parents, it's like there's consequences behind those choices right there. So when the judge said I sentenced you to California Department of Correction to serve a term of life with the possibility of parole, it was a hard swallow. And again, I looked to my left, and both of my mamas there over there, with tears in their eyes.
Wow.
And, back down to the county jail, and then that bus going up those Folsom State Prison. And I told myself, just as I walked in here for as health-wise, I'm walking out the same way.
Good for you.
Yeah, so I mind my business and did what I had to do.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
So. I want to say, I have to laugh because when you interview someone who's known you for so long, they let some things slip out. They let some things slip out.
Yeah.
So my name is Zena.
Uh-huh.
I don't like people to call me Z, but there are certain people who call me Z. There's probably 5 of them in the world.
And I'm one of those 5.
Right. So let's not get that twisted. I'm not Z. I'm Zena. And then, now why would you bring up that Creole man? Now, my mama's Creole.
This is what I'm saying. And the brother stood on the bench. He was a big formidable brother. He was about 6 foot. He didn't sit down on the bench. He stood up on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
And, he looked me in the eye, and that's what it's going to be.
Okay.
All right. You deal with it.
Sure.
I mean, it's not like if it was no surprise. I knew the consequences behind living a life like that.
Absolutely.
Either death or prison.
Well, you turned it around.
Yes, I did.
You turned it around, and you kept in your mind the possibility of parole, and so that's what you focused on, and that's why you were able to do 30 years.
Yes.
And take what you had to take to then come out and work, get a job, be employed. I want you guys to listen in because I will be sharing with you at the end of the interview a number of companies that you will not believe that actually hire people with a past. And I'm also going to be sharing some words of wisdom and a nugget that everyone needs to know that has a past. Because there's some tricky things that human resources do.
Yes.
And there's some tricky things that happen on the application that if you're not aware of, that you can really incriminate yourself in the application and employment process.
That's true.
So tell me a little bit about what you're doing now and what life looks like now for you.
May of 82, I was convicted. I was released from prison September 26, 2012. April of 2013, I had a job.
Wow.
And I've been working ever since. Currently, I drive what is called a yard dog or a yard goat. It's just like a tractor that pulls trailers, but it's smaller. It got a 5th wheel on the back.
Mm-hmm.
You got a brake and an air hose. And I move containers, 53 foot, 45 foot,
wow.
40, 20 foot, and 28 foot containers from one dock to the next. Prior to that, I was working with the railroad, doing the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's what I do for a living.
Okay.
Is drive.
So tell me, let's go back. What did it feel like to make 75 cents an hour? And I don't want you to tell people what you're making because I'm not going to be having people like break down the door because of this baritone voice and this man in here. Muscular man in here.
You need to quit. Yeah.
And so tell me what it felt like to receive your first paycheck, a legitimate paycheck.
It felt great. I mean, I had a stepfather that I haven't met another man that can measure up to his worth ethic. You know, all the things that he shared with me prior to me becoming stupid and did what I did and was convicted, you know, he was showing me along the way. In prison, my first 10 years was my schooling. My last 20, you know what I'm saying, I work for 75 cents an hour. And all what he shared with me, it just came back.
Okay.
You know, that worth ethic.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I brought that from prison out here, that worth ethic. That first check, it's like, yeah. Yeah. Man, looking forward to the next week check, just as I am today.
Okay.
Right now, today, it feels good. And there's nothing wrong with a good, honest day of work. And again, my worth ethic didn't kick in until I was in confinement. Okay. And it's like a V8 moment.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I could have done this on the street. However, I did have jobs on the street, but you know what I'm saying? My thought process was otherwise.
Sure.
You know, I felt that I was missing out on something in the street. You know what I'm saying? Some of that good weed or a girl I want to get with or just, you know what I'm saying? Something that I wanted to do. It was my program.
Yeah.
It was my program. You know, from 12 years of age to 24 years of age, that's when I was convicted. It was my program. But now I'm doing what I need to do, not what I want to do, what is needed in my life.
Good point. You know, I used to be a job readiness coach in Arizona, and I work with at-risk individuals, and they were 18 to 27. And so they had been in trouble or in the foster care system and so forth. And I don't know if you know that when you're a foster care kid, when you're 18, they literally give you $200. I think it's $200 and a bag.
I heard about that. Yes. Yeah.
In the door.
And that's it.
And you're gone.
Right.
And you're supposed to go out there and fend for yourself. So I'm saying that to say that these people who have had challenges or people who have had adversity in their life, you know, we all think that you know, we wanted to win the lottery, and that person who won the lottery, like, they have a better life, like the grass is greener, right? We're always envisioning the grass is greener. But when you said something was very important, you said you wanted to run on your own program. And so sometimes we think the program is a get rich quick, or, you know, I need to do this hustle, or I need to go out there and do this. Whatever you do, just know that you're doing that, and operate from a place that is internal. Again, going back to the mindset,
right?
Operate from a place that you feel good about what it is you do, because when you go out there and you do things that you know aren't right, there are going to be consequences.
Truly.
And so as long as you are willing to get past that situation, and I'm talking particularly about people who don't want to work, who don't want to take traditional jobs. And I'm speaking to them right now because there are people, in the way that the world has gone, people don't have to take traditional jobs. I mean, people are, you know, they went to school and they were teachers, and now they're driving for Uber, or they're doing some internet thing, or they're doing multi-level marketing. I don't care what it is that you do. Hirable to me does not mean a 9-to-5 doing a W-2.
Right,
you know, it could be
exactly.
1099, it could be W-2, it could be a consultant. I've been
Right.
a consultant for the last 14 years. And so hirable is your own self-worth, knowing that you have gifts, talents, and abilities that are marketable, and that you are your own brand, whether that is driving a forklift, whether that's sweeping or vacuuming, whether that's being a business strategist, whether that's an owner of a radio station, whether that is an Instagram model, whatever that is. Hirable, to me, and what I really want to make clear to everyone, is about your own personal mindset and creating your personal brand. And everyone has a brand. I don't care if you're the receptionist at a company, you have a brand. So we all have gifts, talents, and abilities. Again, that goes back to the mindset. The mindset, or do you believe that you have gift, talents, and abilities, or do you believe you just have work experience?
That's the you said a key thing right there. Is you believe and believe in yourself. Everybody have a talent. Some people have multiple talents. Can I ask you something, Z?
Uh-oh. Okay.
When did you in your life came about all what you're expressing?
You know my story,
right,
and I'm not going to share that right now,
right.
And I think that I'll go back to when I was in the second grade, and I won't really share that story very much, but when I was in the second grade, I had an opportunity to see another way of life through some people that got involved in my life.
Right.
And I looked at their home, I looked at how they were living, I looked at the peace, and in the second grade, and I said, I want some of that. I want to have that life. I want to have that contentment. I want to achieve that. And I didn't know what that meant in terms of money and credit or what type of job. Right. And so I floundered, from the second grade on. Mm-hmm. I mean, I dropped out of high school. I mean, I have my GED. My boys will laugh. I got my GED for my oldest, but I have worked in corporate America for well over 25 years. I have worked in environments where you have to have a college degree.
Right.
But again, it goes to mindset and packaging. Because no one has ever questioned whether or not I had a degree.
Wow.
They have never questioned that. And so let me
Y'all hear that, folks? Y'all hear that?
They've never questioned it. And let me tell you how I packaged that. I packaged that by learning from other people. So when I was at Disney, fast forward, when I was at Disney, I saw someone who was a recruiter, and I was hired maybe as a junior recruiter or whatever, and I befriended her, and I learned what she learned, and I thought, I can do that.
Right.
And how much are you making an hour? And it was like, oh, okay. So I went on and I positioned myself to work for different companies. And once I had Disney on my resume, it opened up all sorts of doors. From that, I learned business and I learned strategy, and I really listened to what people said and what they did, and I took that and I refined that to be part of my brand. And so when I started to put my resume out there, people were like, oh, she built this organization, she knows these people, she has all of these recommendations on LinkedIn. And so I continue to refine my packaging, and no one ever questions me about my background.
Right.
And it's not an arrogant thing. I'm not coming from an arrogant place.
Right.
Yeah, I'm coming from a place of knowledge. I'm coming from a place of hard knocks. I'm coming from a place of learning.
Right.
And I'm also coming from a place of humbling myself. So I have actually been in environments where I know that I have more skills than the manager or the director. And I'm far more strategic than they are, but they have the title.
Right.
So I might come in as a consultant, but then this is the game that I play in my mind. What's that song, that Kenny Rogers song? Know when to fold them.
Right.
Yeah, that, whatever.
Right.
So I don't show everyone my hand.
Right.
You don't know everything about Zena.
Right.
And so when I come into the environment, I sit there and I ask questions, and I learn what you learn because you're willing to share with me.
Right.
But you don't know what I learned. And you don't know what I have in my cards, in my hand.
Right.
And so then I start showing myself. And people, I've literally worked myself out of jobs. I was at Bank of America, and I was supposed to be there for a year on a contract. I filled all the positions within 4 months, and I worked myself out of a job. And they're like, well, we'll call you back next year. I'm like, psh, gone. off to something else.
Right.
So I've worked myself out of jobs only because I've humbled myself. And a lot of people don't realize that in corporate America or in any environment, you have to humble yourself. I'm humbled today that Keith gave me this opportunity to be right here.
Right.
And nervous as heck.
Right.
But I'm here and I'm doing it and I'm going to push forward. And so humility is very important. So thank you for asking. Yeah, I learned, I saw a different way of life in the second grade. And so where you heard life with the possibility of parole, in the second grade, I saw a family live differently than what I was living.
Right.
I saw the mom and dad come home. I saw the house that they lived in. And I knew that I wanted that normality because it wasn't part of my story.
Right.
And so everything that I've done in raising my children, everything that I've done, I've tried to provide for them that normality that wasn't available in my life growing up. And that's not to say that I had this horrible, horrible life. I mean, I am so grateful for every experience that I've had. So don't be asking me about me.
You know.
Don't be trying to interview me.
I just want to know, how did you, you know what I'm saying, get to the stage of life that that you're at, That's very inspiring.
And you know what? And you know this about me, God. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, but I'm going to keep it real with you.
Right.
It's the center and the focus of who I am.
That's right.
And so with that, stop trying to get in my business. If you were to give anyone one piece of advice as to whether or not they're hirable, knowing where you have come from and knowing what you've had to endure to now be gainfully employed, getting a paycheck, productive member of society, moving and grooving and living the life that you are living right now, what piece of advice would you give?
To be true with yourself. If you unfortunately be in jail 6 months, a year, or years on end, be true with yourself. You are hirable. Get to know yourself, for one. The old thinking and mentality that you had, that, how you ended up in prison, do away with that. Take on a renaissance with yourself, a rebirth. You know what I'm saying? Reinvent yourself. And when your opportunity comes for you to be back out here in society, don't let nothing deter you from that. Don't listen to people standing on the sidelines at the liquor stores or at the parking lots and shopping centers. Oh, they ain't hiring. They are hiring. You can get a job.
Yeah.
Jobs are plentiful right now. Very. Good jobs.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So, believe in yourself, work on yourself, have a positive energy, a positive mindset, and come out and do it. And you don't have to have been to prison. You can be out here walking, on the streets. Just do a 360.
Okay.
Want better for yourself.
All right.
And that starts in the mind.
Sure.
It's that attitude that you were speaking about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you need that.
And, it's interesting, whether you've been in prison or you're in prison in your mind.
Right.
Because I know some really negative people that's always, the glass is always half empty. It's always them against us.
Right.
We just had the election, them against us.
Right.
This doesn't matter. This vote doesn't count.
Right.
They're going to do whatever. There. And so, again, going back to the mindset, I know you guys were like, she keeps talking about the mindset. I'm going to keep drilling it.
But that's imperative.
Because
that's important.
If you're living a life where you're comparing to others, you're stuck in a prison mentality.
Right.
In your mind.
Right.
Because you've already imprisoned yourself because you're comparing yourself to someone else because you think that is your limit.
Right.
Or that's your opportunity.
Right.
You haven't even begun to tap into your capacity.
Exactly. Because there's some things that I'm a musician as well.
Yes, you are.
And I've been out 5 years, going on 6 years, and I yet to tap into that because it's work and pay bills, and I be tired. I'm an old man now. I can't
I wish you guys can see me rolling my eyes because I have been trying to work with this man for a year now to help him write his books and become a motivational speaker and help other people. For those people who are standing on the corner who think that they don't have a life or don't think everyone has a story, everyone has glory.
That's
and
true.
I've been trying
That's true.
to work with him. So, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you absolutely right. There's books. I have a few books on the burner, as well as music. I'm a musician, as I stated. Today's jazz and some flavor R&B, and I even wrote a rap or two. You know what I'm saying, for these rappers out here and guys that's living this gangster thug life. I got something to say.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying, on that agenda. So y'all stay tuned because it's trust and believe it's coming down the pipe. Yeah.
I alluded to dropping a couple of nuggets and to help people out. And so I've been in human resources for a long time. And one of the things that you guys need to know, if you don't share anything with anyone that you've heard today, share this one thing. There is a question on the application that will throw you off every time and that will sort of mess you up in the process, right? And you know what I'm about to talk about, right?
Let me hear it.
Okay. So there's a question on an application or an online application that says, have you ever been convicted? Hold on, I'm about to let you tell. I know he's like itching. He wants to share this. And ever, the word ever is where you guys mess yourself up. Because ever doesn't mean forever, ever, 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 ever. Right? And so this is where knowledge is power, because if you don't know your employment laws within your county, within your city, and within your state, you're going to think ever means when I stole the orange at the grocery store when I was 8 years old, and I took the candy bar, and Miss Wilson at church went to the pastor, and then I have this or that ticket or this or that DUI. Tell us what ever means. And first, I want to go back. Does your 30 years show up on your background?
No, it don't. Employers only go back actually 7. If you're working for the county or the city, they can do a life scan, put the fingerprint on it, and then it's whoop, there it is. But they only actually go back 7 years.
7 to 10 years. Did you guys hear that? So ever, when it says, have you ever been convicted? You only need to go back 7 or 10 years based upon your county, your city, or your local state or whatever. You don't have to go back on all of that. And then, here's the most important thing. It's about the conviction date. It's not about the time. So you did 31 years, and it's not about starting from the day you were released. It's not the release date. And that's why that doesn't appear on any sort of background, not unless it's a federal background.
Right.
Because it's
nothing there.
Yeah.
It's nothing there. Just, my baby brothers. The twins. Okay, one of them was just...
Okay, just don't put their business out on the street.
Well, okay, anyway, he applied for this job, and, he's been out roughly a little over a year. Took the drug test and all the rest of that. That was cool. But, however, it's like, no, because...
That's there from
exactly.
the conviction date.
Exactly.
From the conviction date.
Yeah.
So when you think about doing that online application, or you think about an application, then ever means
just say no. Just say no, because just your listeners just say no. Because 9 out of 10 they're not gonna.
Okay, I have to give them the human resources right advice, and it's not just say no. It's know what goes on in your county and your city. And if you're applying for a job that's a government contractor, they will go back 10 years.
Yeah, government, yes.
Or if it's a government, they will go back 10 years.
Right.
But it's 7 years. And so just know that it's 7 years.
Yes, right.
And ever does mean misdemeanors as well.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, it does.
Well, Mr. Bill, thank you so very much. I'm going to share a couple of things. I want to share some companies that actually hire felons. So I first want to thank you so very much for joining me today and sharing your story and putting my business out there.
But thank you, Zena. thank you and keep Brother Keith over there. You know what I'm saying? Thank you guys for inviting me and having me as the first guest.
Absolutely.
And you best believe this is not my last time, you know what I'm
Okay.
saying, gonna come through here.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
All right. So for my listeners, I want to share with you, and if you need this list, you can find it on Instagram. I'll put it on the Instagram. I'll put it on my Facebook. You can also reach out to me through my email, which is coach.askzena@gmail, but it's a huge list, so I'm only going to read a couple of them, but you're going to be astonished at the names of these companies that actually hire people with a past. I'm going to say a past because I don't want to put a label on anyone. So there is Ace Hardware, there's Alamo Rentals, there's the Allied Van Company, there's American Airlines, American Express, American Greetings, AT&T, Avis Rental, Avon Products, Best Foods, Best Westerns, Black & Decker, there's Blue Cross of America, Blue Shield, there's Budget Rentals, Calvin Klein even hires people with a past, Campbell Soup, Canon, Casio, there is Dairy Queen, Del Monte Foods, Delta Airlines, Denny's, Dollar Rental, there's Domino's Pizza, there's DuPont, Exxon, Firestone, there's Federal Express. Federal Express hires people. Kraft, Kmart. I don't know if Kmart's still in business, but anyway. Hilton, Motorola, Philip Morris, the cigarette company, Sara Lee, Sears is kind of going out of business too, so I won't put them out there. Dr. Pepper, Service Master, Sony, Target, I see. Well, there's Toys R Us. They're kind of gone, too. And United Airlines, Verizon, Walgreens, Walmart, Xerox. There are tons of companies that hire people with a background. So you are only limited by your beliefs.
Right, exactly. And even the in San Pedro, the oil refineries.
Oh, okay.
$25 an hour. You'll work 24-hour shifts 7 days a week.
Well, I could have got some sponsor money for that little tip that you just dropped, but okay. But did you
Let's
hear
call
that?
them up. You know what I'm saying?
Did you hear that? $25 an hour, the oil refineries in San Pedro.
Yes.
So that is our hot job tip of the day.
Yes.
But I also wanted to thank you guys so very much for joining in. I hope that you've enjoyed the show. Definitely follow us on Instagram, The Good News Radio. And you can also reach out to me at askzena.com. You can check me out on all of my social media channels, Ask Zena, Zena. And I just wanted you to know that it's been such a pleasure, such an honor to be here. I look forward to being very transparent and sharing with you, sharing my human resources experience, letting you call in and ask questions. If you have questions about your boss that you're concerned about and you just want to be anonymous, or you have questions about finding a job, or you have questions about issues, I have that background. And if I don't have it, most people who know me know that I will get the answer for you. So I wanted to thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, Keith. Next time, please go back and listen. There was someone on the chat, Keith, but I didn't even, I'm sorry. But download the app at the App Store, and we can chat live. And so next week we are going to be talking about how to ace an interview and how to get seen, get interviewed, and get hired. Thank you so very much. Peace and blessings. This is the Ask Zena Radio.